I think before we officially start, Ab0ogee, a lot of people are curious. What on earth are you currently doing? Obviously, we have a short conversation. We messaged back and forth, and you told me, sorry for disclosing to the public, you work in DeFi. Well, obviously, that's
Yeah.
where all the money comes from. You are a part of about 6 or 7 DeFi projects that launched
Yeah.
and done a peak aggregate of, ooh, am I allowed to disclose this? I guess I'll just go for it. 10 to 12 billion US dollars in deposits. Now that's crazy. Apart from that, I think that's your Batman job. That's your nighttime job. What do you read? What do you do during the daytime? What do you do during the legit times? Are you a family man? Do you have kids or whatnot? Go ahead, Ab0ogee.
I can't really dox that part about it. I made a few jokes about my wife though, so she reads my tweets, and usually my jokes are fantastic, or I'll be laughing at them myself. But yeah, I do have a lot of I actually run a couple of businesses. I do digital marketing. I do digital strategy. I do education and training. You probably, yeah. I'm not as quiet as I might think. But I've been doing crypto for 6 years now. Yeah. So the thing about it was more of like for fun. And then because if real life got boring, then I would have all my online friends, which is kind of cool. And then when the bear market hits, it's nice to go back to the real world, and they say touch the grass, smell the farts, feel the sun, or whatever it is. So yeah, I've got that going as well. It's kind of useful when you have the bear market, right? So you kind of have a lot of things that you can do. So I tend to touch a lot of things, but specifically I do digital marketing a lot.
Digital marketing, I assume, is for multiple projects, mostly NFT projects, I assume.
No, in real life, man. Like, I actually do have a real life job. So, no, well, not a job. I don't have a 9 to 5, but I run my own thing for a couple of businesses. And yeah, I do that for fun.
Okay, so really, this DeFi thing is just your nighttime job, lah, or so we call the Batman job.
Well, it happens like, I guess every cycle. The thing about crypto is like every cycle is kind of different. In some cycles it's just pure shit coins, and other cycles it's like DeFi, and another cycle there'll be like NFTs and dog coins and whatever stuff, right? So you've got a lot of options in what you want to do. So I was touching everything. I mean, I think the thing about being in this industry is you've got to be adaptable. So you kind of try everything and you enjoy everything, because it's always the same. It's always going to be about money, right? So and how you make it. You could trade, you could research, you could analyze, and so on and so forth. It's kind of more fun now than it has ever been before. So yeah.
Okay. Talking about the time now, right? I just want to really rewind back a bit and really understand, in case the audience doesn't also, how on earth did we get here? Last year, we were looking at crypto. Bitcoin was making an all-time high of $69,000 in November. Yeah, about this time last year, 365 days ago.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of people saying that this will go on forever. You had this Twitter CT influencers calling for Bitcoin going up to 100K. Even I believe that.
Yeah.
They were looking at the stock to flow model. By the end of the year, you will reach 100K.
Yeah.
And look at where we are right now. So you mind sharing how on earth do we actually get here? What happened, etc.?
Yeah, sure. Actually, the truth is that I think it's people need to remember that it's not a crypto specific thing. That finance as a whole, macro, and people need to have a lot more respect for macro, like to understand that what happened in 2020 when they were printing all that money over in US, and there was going to be some kind of effect, right? It's going to be a huge effect on everything. It wasn't like, I mean, you saw, I think it was Top Glove stocks, right? The price to earning ratio was like just wonky. It was like the multiples were so high. So it wasn't crypto specific. It was the equities market as well that was pumping like crazy just because everybody was at home and everybody got all this money and they started pumping everything everywhere, right? So, and then I can tell you like one of the biggest tips in life is just the um I'm this is my second or third cycle, yeah. So the thing is that the whole thing about market is it's always PvP, right? It's player versus player. So for every buyer there's a seller, and for every win there's a loss. So when you've got a lot of money that's come into the market, at some point everybody thinks they're going to be rich, and the truth about life is not everybody can be rich. It doesn't work that way, because that's what we call inflation, right? And then eventually the market is going to pull back. So the only difference is you experience. So like the next time, I'm not sure how many participants today that's listening in, how many cycles they've done before, but I'm going to tell you like a huge tip is everything that's happening now happened exactly 4 years ago. Exactly. In 2018, whatever happened in 2018 happens in 2022. It's the same thing. All the signs are the same. All the everything that was bearish turned bearish, and it happened exactly the same way. And it's always the same things. It's the playbook is almost. They say history doesn't. History rhymes, right? So it's the same thing. But if you look at it, in January 5th, 2018, the market cap of crypto was $852 billion, right? And that was in January 5th, 2018 as well, slightly over 40 years ago. And by the end of that year, market cap of crypto was 105 billion. That means there was an 88% drop. And today, in what we feel is like super bearish markets, it's 890 billion, which is still higher than the high of the previous bull run, right? So crypto, it didn't die, it just came off and cyclical, right? But the same could have been said for any equity market. You look at Tesla shares, you look at Facebook shares, and so on and so forth, right? Like, so it's the same thing, but just that what the government of the day is doing is saying not everybody can have money. We printed too much, so we need to pull back, because if we don't pull back, everything's going to be too expensive for everybody, right? So that's the reason why we're seeing the numbers that we see today. But the God for honest truth is, it happened exactly the same. The same thing happened in 2018, and the same thing is going to happen in 4 or 5 years' time as well. You're going to have another run, and we're going to talk about this again the same way.
Yeah, I mean, very good point you covered there, because if we were to zoom out from Bitcoin's chart itself and we look through the history, now the crash mentioned in 2018 just looks like a blip.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like, and we are talking about it right now.
yeah.
Just similar like what we will talk about this maybe next 5-10 years. And just some math for the audience lah. The highest crypto market cap, the total crypto market cap that we hit was around November last year. There was almost 3 trillion US dollars, and last cycle there's an 88% drop in market cap. So if we were to go down 88% in market cap, that brings us to about $400 billion. And the current market cap of crypto is 800 billion. So, and tracing back to what you said just now, if history repeats itself, then is it possible to see another 50% drop for Bitcoin? Because this is just based on the math itself. What do you think, Ab0ogee?
Well, based on my crystal ball that I keep in my drawer.
Yes, crystal. Woo, woo.
The thing about bottoms is that it's not a function of price; it's actually a function of time. And over time, as we keep going sideways, eventually liquidity pulls out, right? Because not everybody can. People get bored or whatever, and they think, okay, like for example, today DeFi yields are like 1 to 3%, no, 1 to 2% actually on the most safest stable coins, right? But if you go to a bank and you've got like 4.2% on Sharia compliant products on fixed deposits, right? That means your money is safe, and they're going to give you like 2 to 4 times more than what DeFi is giving you, right? So what's going to happen? The natural thing is that people are going to pull out their money and they're going to go to banks, right? It's the same. I mean, we're going to go back to where we were from before. So what's going to happen with that means liquidity is drained from the market, and it happens in any market. And then we go down to the bottom, and then we stay there until people get bored and people forget about all the bad stuff. People would have then, like, your best friend who believes in crypto so much, who thinks they're going to make a career out of it, then suddenly thinks, oh man, it was all a Ponzi, right? But the truth is, like, eventually people forget, and then they'll come back to it, because we'll have a new narrative. There will be a new reason why money flows into the market, and we just got to be patient and see what that looks like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think another part which I would like to add on to what you said is because the amount of money printed was due to the extremely low interest
Yeah.
rates set by the Federal Reserve from '08 all the way up to COVID. And in COVID itself, when the pandemic hit, they were severely cranking, they were severely lowering the interest rates almost to zero. Yeah, at that time, interest rates were about 0.25%. Loans were extremely cheap, and a lot of people just went to the banks and take out loans to speculate, which is leverage lah, basically. And now that we have these things like a UST, which used to allow you to earn 20% APY on the US dollar, everybody is just like, if the banks are charging me maybe 1 to 2%, let's say 3% on the high side on my loan, and I were to take out a loan of 100K, 3%, then I put it into USD, that's a 17% earn for me. And a lot of people were doing that, right, Ab0ogee?
Yeah.
Which led to such a, I would say, a huge blow off top. And then after that, crypto just came crashing down, and it crashed so quickly. Did it surprise you, the pace when it crashed? Because we're looking at comparing Bitcoin's price 1 year ago to now.
I don't. I mean, I knew it was going to crash. We all. I mean, if you worked in DeFi, then you kind of knew that this was going to happen. It wasn't going to happen just because of like I said, some of the. You want to know what's one of the biggest indicator of a bearish market going to hit? It's Dogecoin. It generally is dog coins, right? Like all this crap that comes out and people play it, and it's usually what it means is all this liquidity is still there, and all this stuff comes out and people play it, and then until all the liquidity is dried up, you've got that kind of indicators that's coming out. But I think the biggest thing that you have to remember is that when the governments print too much, again, they'd have to pull it all back, and when they do, then obviously it's going to be painful. How fast it happens or how it happens is different. It's a different story. But I can tell you something for sure. Like, for example, Luna and USD is something that I've got a good group of friends, like about 40 or 50 of us, who did a couple of these runs together, and none of us got hurt in Luna USD, and none of us got hurt in the FTX thing, because we got hurt before 4 or 5 years ago. We lost, we made some money, we made a couple of million, and then we lost everything down to zero. In the same way, but it's just maybe a different story. But it's the same thing that happened then. We learned our lessons, and then we decided, and we know not to get too. We know not to believe in all these numbers, because it's just made out of thin air, right? Like you can't 20%. It's never going to be sustainable at that point in time. And FTX was also total garbage, But yeah, so these things accelerated the situation, but it's still a healthy thing, man. Like 5 years ago, we never had all this sophisticated stuff. In 5 years from now, we're going to have even more sophisticated stuff. So the idea is to just survive until then, and then you're going to have a lot more fun. But the speed in which it happened, yeah, I mean, like we knew that this year was going to crash. How it was going to crash was something else. I think a lot of the people that's listening in right now, I know they got hurt from the Luna USD thing. But it's it's tuition fees. It's tuition fees behind why you're going to make 7 figures in the next run. A lot of the people who got hurt are going to make a lot of money in the next run, because that's called experience, right?
Yeah, definitely but what of those people who decided to went on full leverage, took out loans, family funds, etc., etc. I'm sure there are some people in the audience who got, I would say, a bit too carried away in their investments, thinking that everything would just go up, and then they got really burnt. What advice would you have for them right now? How do they pick themselves back up? Because let's say maybe they lost their job, etc., etc.
Um, I think it takes a little while to like be real, and you got to be very honest with yourself and ask the questions: why did you do that, right? And why did you play with so much money or other people's money? And you need to be honest with yourself about those questions. And it's okay. It's okay to say you made a mistake, right? And then but tomorrow's a new day, and you're going to find new opportunity. Get a job, just start over. Some people might swear off crypto, but it's not crypto. It's anything that you would have done. You could have done the same thing in equities market. You could have done that in leverage, in commercial banking as well. You can do anything, but that's not answering the question. The question should have been something like what you could have done better and what you're going to do better. But if you quit and you give up, then you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunity. There was a lot of people who quit after the 2018 crash and never came back. But when they decided to come back, they came back in 2021. But the real money was being made in 2020, and they were late. So my point to that is, yeah, it was tough. It was, but you kind of let it sink in, you dust it off, and then you go again. Because the industry is going to be different. The one thing, like a massive tip, massive tip that I would give is, if you like the space and if you believe it, right, and or you're 50-50 about it, right, you talk to the people who are still in the space and believe it. Like me, I love the space. I know how crypto works. I know what it offers. It's kind of cool. There's a lot of things in crypto that you get that you don't get everywhere else. I used to work. Okay, I get to dox myself a little bit. I used to work in Petronas, and I used to work just below the president's office. And that means I reached what I felt was the peak of my corporate career at a relatively young age, and then I went to crypto. Right? No, I did something on my own first, and then I discovered crypto on my own time. And I can tell you something, like the happiness that I get from crypto isn't the money that we made. It's actually the friends that you make when you lose money, and that's really fun. I mean, you kind of get sad together. Oh shit, man, we lost everything. We're like, yeah, let's try to make it back. And you do that together. So you kind of make friends from all over the world, different age groups. Unfortunately, it's all boys. Um, I think there's a little bit more girls now. I hope there's more girls coming in. But yeah, you get to meet a lot of people and you get to hustle together. You get to work hard together. And it's really fun. It's really fun. Yeah, I tell you something, like if you want to change your life, it happens in the bear market.
Yeah, that's definitely right, lah. And about the boys part, right? We assume that those people who are having these PFPs or their profiles behind, we assume they are guys, but sometimes I think it may shock you that they are all women. Okay, we don't know the true extent of a boy to women ratio right now. If somebody has the information, you can just step
And
up and let us know. But yeah, there are I think there are more and more women in this industry, lah, looking at DeFi and crypto in itself. But again, great points you mentioned. Great points you mentioned. Just now, earlier part during this session, you talked about how DeFi yields, their sustainable ones are only 1 to 2%.
mhm.
You're talking about stable coins, right? This stands for stable
Yeah,
coins.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like, because
Okay.
I mean, the safe ones. When I say safe ones, means USDT, USDC, DAI. Those are like the top three safe ones, right? BUSD is the
So
safest USDC. So
1 to 2%. But what of those people who are right now, putting their funds into, I don't know which exchange, they are offering up to maybe
KuCoin.
8,
Yeah, yeah, I
15%?
saw that.
What do you have to say about that?
I mean, like, at this point, if you're still doing that stuff, that's really on you. And I'm not saying that's a wrong thing or a bad thing. I don't like to say this kind of things, but based on what's happened, you have to be a little bit smarter about it. But like, I'm gonna tell you this: if I ran an exchange and I didn't have money anymore, or if I don't have one-to-one reserves anymore, and I need money, right? I'm just going to put up a product which says that you can earn 18%. And what that's going to do is it's going to drive in a certain number of people that will go and deposit like their hard-earned money because they want to earn 18%. And me as the exchange, I get to show on the books that I've got this amount of deposits that I could use to take a loan out on, or I could pay back vendors that I know I need to pay back investors, right? So at this point, I would reckon that a large number of people are smarter about it because of what they've seen, especially with FTX and a whole bunch of others. But if you're not doing it and you still think that there is an appetite for it, then yeah, you can go ahead. But it's all part of the tuition anyway. If you survive, great. If you don't, well, that's part of the tuition fees. But personally, I don't do all that kind of stuff because again, you need to respect macro. And okay, I'm going to tell you something. We built this stuff. We built this stuff, right? Like we built liquidity pools. We're the ones who built um, all this LPing and staking and all this kind of stuff. It only works as long as there's a lot of money in the market. It's not a Ponzi per se, but the whole world works exactly this way, right? So you have to understand that like when there's such a high APR or APY in this environment, then you really need to understand where is it coming from, because we have that saying in DeFi, right? Like if you don't know where the yield is coming from, that means you are the yield.
That's deep. That's very deep. I thought you were lagging there, so I decided to fill in some part. I decided to give it some reaction. But I didn't realize you paused. Okay.
Yeah, the coffee is working, so I get to say a lot of things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's really deep, lah. I mean, you don't get where the yield is coming from, then you are essentially the yield.
Yeah.
And what I can take away from what you just said just now is not losing money is making money in this current environment, right?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
although you may not be getting high APYs like 8-10%, sometimes maybe like 1 or 2%, or maybe even 0%, just keeping your funds safe.
Yeah.
Like storing it in a crypto wallet. Like storing it in a cold wallet.
Yeah.
Some people still refuse to do so.
Yeah.
It's one of the few ways to really, I would say, prevent users or investors from getting hit by another wave of this contagion, right?
Yeah. I mean, but it's all part of the tuition, man. Like you can't. People still do it, and people. There's a risk that they take, and that's fine. That's how the world works, right? Like you can't save everybody, and sometimes when you try to do that, you end up taking away other people's opportunity to learn or whatever, right? So that's the reason why I've never said don't do this or don't do that, or you should do this or you should do that. I don't believe in that at all. I think you should do it. You should learn from it. You take proper risk management. Don't lose everything. Don't play with so much money that you don't have. That's about how much I can say.
Yeah. And another part where I like to talk about is cold wallets and exchanges. I mean, let's dive into it. A lot of people, I'm sure, right now are still a bit hesitant on getting cold wallets for themselves. They are still opting to store their cryptos within exchanges. Just to remind you guys, a cold wallet usually costs about, how much is it already, Ab0ogee? For me, it costs about
I bought for
200 ringgit.
FAD the other day, right? Like FAD, you were asking for someone to sponsor, so I actually DM'd him and I sponsored him. I think it was like 100 USD.
Oh,
Yeah. That's why he always likes my post. There you go. He sent me a heart. Oh.
there you go. That's Ab0ogee. That's how you farm engagement.
Okay, got it.
We're doing
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
All right. How much do you buy it for?
I think it was about 100 USD. I think was it. I think it ranges Trezor, and a couple of more Ledger and a few of them. So they're all different. I tell you what. It's there's some people can't do ledgers. And I can understand that as well. And some of them store it on Luno, some of them store it on Binance, some stored it on FTX. So either way, the best thing to do is you kind of split your portfolio. You kind of put some here, some there, some here, some there. You kind of like make sure that you keep a track on it. I'm not going to say what you should or shouldn't do. Cold wallets are great, I suppose. if you're not going to trade a lot, or if you're not going to buy spot a lot, you just want to protect what you have, right? So that's great. Yeah, you should practice safety, that's for sure. But more than keeping your money to yourself, like, I think you have to learn how to not get scammed. There's a lot of scams going on.
Okay, let's talk about scams, because right now, on average, we the futurists, we receive about let me see, 2 to 3 DMs every day.
Yeah.
All are scams.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. People DM us, it's like, hey, hi, how are you guys doing today? I sometimes I just unintentionally block them,
Mm-hmm.
and then they message me on Instagram. They ask me, oh, you blocked me on Twitter. Then I was like, oh, sorry, I thought you were a scammer. So they are just tons of scammers right now
Yeah.
on Twitter, both Instagram. So
Yeah, but it happens
uh,
everywhere, right? Even SMS.
yeah, it happens.
People try to scam my dad, and he's like 60 odd years old and all that. My wife's granddad as well. They try to scam him as well. But it comes in all kind of forms, shapes, and forms. I think the idea is like, just don't click stuff, right? Like, you don't really have to have that conversation. If someone really wants to talk to you, um, they'd open with a lot more content, but you don't have to trust everything. The thing about in NFTs, especially, used to be something that was happening quite, but that's driven by greed, because we always think that, oh, there's an opportunity here, I need to be quick. I've got scammed before, even despite all my experience. I think the last one was a couple of months ago. No, maybe earlier this year or end of last year. Yeah, it was some silly thing that I got caught into, and I thought I was supposed to mint something, I think. And it happens, right? Like I said, you just get smarter about things along the way. But the biggest tip is just don't click links. Clicking links are like a big no-no.
Yeah, I think that's really one of the biggest takeaways right here, to prevent yourself from getting scammed.
Yep.
There's also another form of scam right now to a lot of artists, because I noticed that
Oh yeah, yeah,
a
yeah. I
lot
read
of
about
people
that. Yeah,
from Pentas, they are also currently in the space,
yeah,
and we also received these DMs before. First of all, they won't send you any link.
yeah,
They will just ask you, are you up for some commission work? We will send you some
yeah.
Ethereum. And then after that, they're going to send you an absurd amount of Ethereum, telling you that, hey, this is I'm going to pay you 0.5 ETH or maybe 1 ETH for this particular artwork or whatnot.
Yeah.
Then they ask you to click on something. At the end of the day, there's always a link. and I think that's the biggest takeaway here. Obviously, there is a more advanced form of scam. I'm not sure if you're aware, but I think you should be aware of this also. It's like a pretty woman or a handsome man approaches you, and then after that, they call it the pig butchering scam.
Okay.
Are you scam, Ab0ogee?
No, I'm glad that my wife didn't scare me. She's very pretty, so. But she's listening into this, so I gotta say something nice, I guess.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, this scam is, in short, basically they form a relationship with you for the first 2 months. Once 1 or 2 months, they
Oh
just
yeah,
have a casual you bond with you.
yeah,
Then after that, they ask you to do some investment, ask
yeah,
you to think about your
yeah.
future, and then they send you a link of a very shady crypto exchange. They show you how to trade within the crypto exchange, and for the first few times, they give you back your money.
Oh
Yeah, the
yeah, yeah,
scammers are
yeah.
advanced now.
Build your trust.
Yeah. Yes, to earn your trust. We can talk about this, because they give you back your profits. Let's say the first time you put in like 500 ringgit, then to them it's basically nothing. They give you back 1,000. They say you made 2x, and then they earn your trust already. The next time, you are to deposit maybe 20,000, maybe 30,000. They ask you to take up loans, and finally, when you are basically they quote fat as a pig already, then they slaughter you. They leave. They
Yeah,
cut contact.
yeah. That's what
I
scams
think
are getting
that's one
very
of the more,
complicated. Yeah,
yes,
long
yes,
scams are
yes.
very profitable.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Tinder swindler.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Long
It's,
scams, exactly.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think another lesson that I think Ab0ogee can agree with me is also that if it's too good to be true, it probably is, right?
Yeah,
What do
but
you
then
think about
like you
this?
tell that to people who are earning 18% on USDC, right? Like, if it's too good to be true, but then people still take the risk, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, a lot of people.
it's academic at best. I mean, you tell people this, if it's too good to be true, it actually, it's bullshit. But
Yeah,
I have a very, very liberal way of looking at things. I feel like people should learn from stuff, even when the bad stuff happens, especially when the bad stuff happens. As long as because it teaches you to be stronger and smarter the next round, and you get better at it. I've had my fair share of stuff that's happened to me. I don't regret them, but I learn from them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what additional, I would say, thoughts do you have for maybe artists currently in the space, artists or investors alike? Because right now, let's say we have this trader over here, trader A, artist B. They used to make money
Mm-hmm.
through trading,
Mm-hmm.
through selling art. Right now, since the market is
Mm-hmm.
down, the trades are unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's buying their artwork.
Mm-hmm.
What can they do in this current situation to, I would say, earn additional income, or maybe have a bowl of have a bowl of rice even?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, first of all, you need to be very. I think they have to be. You have to be truthful to yourself and to the space, and say like, okay, look, the market's really bad. It's nobody's fault. It's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault at all. At this point, you get to start to choose: did you come here for the money, or did you come here for the passion? Did you come here for? I used to say, I came for the money and I stayed for the friends. So that was my basis at that point in time. Like, I stayed for 5 6 years because I made really great friends, and that was more than worth it if I wasn't earning a lot of money or whatever. But today, and this is something. It's a great question. I suppose the market today that I feel, especially for people who are having bear market the first time, is that you're so lucky, that crypto is what it is today as compared to what it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we only had ICOs, initial coin offerings, and we didn't have any working tech. Means we could only trade, and that one also, I don't think we could do leverage. I think we could only do spot trading, and it was a bunch of stuff. But today, the number of things you could do in crypto is fantastic. Like, you could do trading, you could do research and analysis, you could do NFT trading, you could do NFT creations, you could do community management, you could do community building, customer service, you could do social media presence, you can even do meme accounts. I've got a friend who made 8 figures just being a meme account. It's crazy. And then you could do shitcoin trading, which is funny and fun and high adrenaline. You could be really good at Nansen analytics. People do analytics and whale wallet tracking. I had a friend 2 weeks ago who made about 80,000 USD just from following what whales were doing. You know, so you're actually very lucky to be part of the ecosystem today than it ever was before, because the opportunities are like so much more compared to what it was 5 years ago. So you find the stuff that you like to do and you kind of play to that, but you have an open mind to try other stuff as well. I'm going to tell you like a couple of stuff. Like, I know a lot of Malaysians, prominent Malaysians that made a ton of money. Like, I'm talking about like 10 million USD, 100 million USD, and some of them were like, I think two of them used to work at CoinGecko, and all they did was research, and then they started, sharing their research to some channels, and they started getting opportunities. People were like, "Oh, you do some great research, so would you like to come in to this seed round?" And then their money multiplied really fast, and they made more friends, right? I've known a couple other guys who started a community. They grew it to, I don't know, about 10,000 people on Telegram, I think. And during the peak bull run, they would get all these deals for marketing, and they made 8 figures easily as well. And NFTs are the same. People making a ton of money from royalties and so on and so forth. But you're so lucky that today that the technology works, and that's kind of cool. DeFi works, man. Like, NFTs work. NFTs are here to stay. I guarantee it. Like, I'm not like saying it out of whatever, but it works. There's no you can't have Nike, Adidas, Puma, Tiffany's, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, whatever. All these people are coming in with the NFTs. There was a big brand recently. I can't remember. I think yesterday I was watching World Cup, and I realized there was a Bored Ape in the Adidas ad. But yeah, and then the application of how it works is going to change. Maybe that's 5 years from now. So like, I guarantee you NFTs are going to be here, but how it looks like, that might be different, right? And then the winners will be the people who figure out how to bridge the metaverse and in real life experiences. I think I was talking to the guys who did It's the Ship, and you get the duck NFT and you can get onto their boat or their ship for partying and all this kind of stuff. I think Roach does that NFT thing. You could get discounts on food and drinks, so that stuff expands. And NFTs have that royalty thing that it fixes the royalty problem. Like music NFTs might have a space, so people can make fun of it or whatever. But there was someone really gave me a good point. The thing about NFTs is older people think that it's like rubbish, right? But the funny thing is, like, your president of the United States, like 40 years from now or 30 years from now or 20 years from now, is probably degen trading NFTs right now, because that's their age group, right? Like, you've got young kids who are trading NFTs and they're going to stay. So, in 10, 20, 30 years time, they're all going to be policy setters. And that speaks levels about how early you are, and if you stay enough and if you follow the evolution enough, then it's all gonna do very well. So if I were to tell people who want to try to make it in this space, I would say, yeah, get a job in real life, whatever, enough to pay the bills. You could, if you're good at NFT creation, that means you're good at art, right? And so you can go and do freelancing of whatever, like videos or pictures or editing. You could do all this stuff. And then you stay close to the space and watch how NFTs are evolving. The other day, I think Pluto, I think his name, yeah, and he messaged me saying that he was going to have a project on Solana, which I thought was brilliant, because I think a couple of days ago I saw another NFT project, Kleosaurus or something like that. They had minted out, and that means the demand is still there. It's a matter of how you're marketing or how you're networking and how you're putting it out there, right? So there's plenty of opportunities. You probably just have to work much harder. But if I were to say work harder, it sounds too basic. But stay close to the space. You can learn a lot, right? And you can apply a lot. The bear market is the time where you do it when it's most difficult, so that you have the results when it's super easy.
Yeah, I mean, again, great points. Great points you covered there. What I really like was that take the risk. Okay, I think you're encouraging people to take the risk and take it early, right? Just stay within the space, and whatever you think you have talent for doing, like teaching, newsletter, YouTube, podcast, NFT projects, or whatsoever, you can try it out.
Yeah.
And even though you fail, it doesn't matter. At least you learn something, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's very hard to fail, to be honest, if you're so consistent at it, right? And you make a lot of friends along the way, and you really have fun doing it, then yeah, it works out eventually. I know the part about filling in your rice bowl, and you need to pay the bills, and that's the same for everyone. It was the same for me when I was in 2018. I remember at some point I had a lot of money. We made a lot of money. I made a lot of money, and then I lost everything. And then at some point I thought I got to go back to work, like to 9 to 5, but I didn't. I stayed back and I started to work on my own in real life business, and it did very well in 2019. And then in 2020, when the market was turning bad for my in real life business because of the pandemic, lockdown, then I stayed close to crypto, and I realized, the financial markets are doing really well, and I adapted to that. So you've got to have a few things going, enough to pay the bills while you work on your passion projects, right? So when you work on passion projects, you don't actually feel tired. You kind of feel excited about it. I see a lot of these pentas NFT artists. They're still hustling hard, and I'm so proud of them. I know that they're going to absolutely make it, but you've got to pivot. Try different chains, try different markets. Try to talk in the language, in a global language. Try different things. You don't lose anything. In fact, you're going to make a lot of friends along the way, and you're going to learn a lot of stuff. And it's really, really fun, especially because I noticed that the NFT market people are actually quite young. So yeah, you got to try it. There's no harm. It's a lot of fun. I guarantee it's a lot of fun.
Okay, but what if from a perspective of an artist, what if they are more introverted? They are afraid to come up to spaces and speak to people. Not like us. Let's say just normal people. They are afraid to step up on the stage and express their opinions. They just want to do art. They just want to express themselves through drawings. What do you have to say to them as regards to not taking the risk to explore more?
Um, I think if I were to be a really, really quiet person, and I drew a lot, and you don't have to go on spaces to talk. You can still talk to people on Telegram and communities and Discord or whatever, or forums or whatever, because introverts tend to like to write anyway, right? But if you, yeah, so there's still some connection that they would need or they would like, but you can't just say no. I want to sell this stuff, but I don't want to talk to human beings. It kind of defeats the purpose. But if you were going to try different things, then try different chains, try different markets. You need to find your tribe. That's 100%. It's not, you can't like be devoid of human connections that, and you need to ask yourself why you don't like it, and is it because you're scared that people don't like you? You're just scared because you feel like you got nothing to share. But how would you know if you don't try, right? So and you're not going to lose anything. I guarantee you there's someone out there who's your best friend waiting for you to find them, right? Or your girlfriend or your future boyfriend or your husband or whatever. And it's a lot of fun finding that part of it, and you can do it online. You never even have to meet these people. If you're like, um, if you're a blue-eyed blonde girl, you don't have to show it to anybody, right? Like, or you're like a stunning smiley man, you don't have to show it to people. It's about just connecting on a interest level, right? And you find your tribe, right? I tell you, it's always about people. You don't have to go on spaces or anything, and we never had that back in 2017, 18, right? We all our friendships were made on Telegram or on Slack and Discord and all this kind of stuff, right? But if I was an artist, then I guess the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and test out what the artist community is in Solana or in Tezos, because they have like all these type of different communities who have different principles. There are artists that believe in PFPs. There's artists who believe in one of ones, and you got to find your tribe for that kind of stuff, and then you expand from there. You'll make plenty of friends. That's for sure. And then eventually it takes off.
Yeah, do it for the passion and do it for the relationship, the friendships. At the end of the day, I think if you're trying to do it for the money, then people can smell your bullshit from a mile away. That's how I feel when I'm in this current
Yeah,
industry.
100%.
Although I did,
Like if
yeah,
you do anything for money, you can never reach the optimum result, right? That's 100%. I can guarantee you this. I never achieved what I achieved because by focusing on money. I achieved I did what I did because I loved it for the game, right? It was the game that was fun, right? Like, the hustling or the finding the alpha or the researching and doing it together. Everybody wins, making sure everybody wins. That was fun.
yeah. Which is why just now you earlier on you said make sure you get a job to pay the
Yeah, hundred
bills, be
percent, hundred
adaptable.
percent. Put the
So
hours
so
in. Yeah,
yeah, you got to put the hours in so that you can actually have enough have a stable income while you work on your
yeah,
passion. You don't want to just work on your passion and then expect everybody to pay you top dollars
yeah,
without really putting hours in.
yeah,
That really
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, I think we are about 45 minutes, almost an hour to the session already. Do we want to pivot to a bit of
Yeah,
Q&A?
sure.
Ab0ogee, do you want to take
Yeah.
questions from the crowd? Okay, so just to inform you guys, anybody in the audience, if you guys want to step up, talk to Ab0ogee, join in on the discussion, we are now open. Just request to be a speaker and I will immediately approve you guys. Alternatively, if you guys are a bit shy, a bit introverted, just DM me or DM Ab0ogee. I think Ab0ogee, you're accepting DMs, right?
Okay, I'm super boomer. How do I do that?
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Oh
I
god.
don't think so.
God. Okay. Okay. I think
Then
I
never
think I
mind.
see the
Okay.
button. I see the button. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So for anybody who has any questions, do just don't hesitate to come up to be a speaker. Otherwise, just message us to Futurists. We'll probably check every 1 or 2 minutes. But meanwhile, while we are waiting for some questions to flow in, let's just talk about the ringgit, because I think that's another interesting thing that we left out tonight, and we also want to just conclude here. Why is the ringgit suddenly so strong, Ab0ogee? Explain.
I want to say something political, but then I'm not sure whether I'm
Sure,
allowed
sure,
to
sure.
do
Go ahead.
that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Just go ahead. Just
no. It's not that. I think I mean I deal with a lot of stable coins every week, and it's forex and all that, right? But I'm going to tell you upfront, a lot of it is actually because of what the U.S. Fed is doing. I think I really hope that if there's one thing that people take away from this session is understanding that, if nothing else, understand what the Feds are doing, right? Because when they're trying to pull back liquidity in the market by hiking up so much interest rate, and then they're pulling back the US dollar and it's pushing the US dollar up so high, all these currencies are suffering. It's not just us, right? Like, we accelerated our downfall, yes, because commodities, we depended on commodities for so long in Malaysia, right? I mean, I was working in the oil and gas sector. The oil and gas sector is not the same as it was 10 years ago, right? And demand is dropping because supply is plenty. And then you've got kelapa sawit, what's it called? Palm oil, which is also like, it's an issue about sustainability. Companies don't think that it's a green initiative. But my point is, there is confidence coming back into the market. For example, I'm just gonna give you an example. If we had a very unstable government, or a government which has very far-reaching right-wing policies, it's very hard for me, Ab0ogee, to tell my 9-figure net worth friend, hey dude, why don't you buy property in Malaysia, right? Like, because even I wouldn't be telling my friend to do that, because I wouldn't know whether that was going to be a good idea or not, right? But when we have a more center right or center left kind of government, which could be sustainable, or policies which are reasonable, then you kind of say, tell your friends, hey, Malaysia is a great place. You should buy stuff over here, right? And you should settle down here. And if you take me and then you extrapolate that at an institutional investor level, there's a lot to look forward to if we can find a government that says, let's cut the excesses, let's cut the wastage, and let's focus on building good resources. Let people we school our children well, or we focus on education, training, and so on and so forth, right? So you end up pulling a lot of foreign capital in, which means the demand for the ringgit is much higher. So like, I remember I was trading with a P2P USDT person for 467, I think 469, just 2 weeks ago. I think before I was overseas, and then today I was talking to the same person, and she was telling me it was 451. And I was like, wow, that's ringgit really strengthened. But at the same time, you need to respect the fact that USD has come down a bit, DXY has come down a bit, as an effort of the interest hikes, inflation sort of slowing down, and so on and so forth, right? Like, so it's a mixture of things. But if you want the ringgit to strengthen even more, then we really need to have policy setters in place that are going to give confidence to the market, right? So, yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of points you covered there, and I think if you want to talk about the economy more in depth, we will definitely have to do another session about this, where we just really drive down the focus on the ringgit versus the economy. And I would love to bring Mr. Sunny in, an economist also, to really have you guys kind of like talk it out on where the current trajectory of the Malaysian ringgit is going to go. But just now you also covered about the Federal Reserve. I totally agree with you. I think everybody should understand what the Federal Reserve does, because when people think of who is the most powerful entity in the world, they will usually say maybe it's Joe Biden, maybe it's Xi Jinping, or maybe it's Putin. But I think those answers are all wrong. I think the Federal Reserve, that's the most powerful entity in the world, because when you look at who's the most powerful entity in Malaysia, that's not our Malaysian government, because our Malaysian government doesn't set interest rates. Bank Negara Malaysia does.
Mm-hmm.
So Bank Negara Malaysia is the central bank of Malaysia. And I like to think of the Federal Reserve as the central bank of the entire world's central banks. And why is this possible is because the US dollar is the world's reserve currency.
Yep.
Every single country must have a set amount of US dollars held within their foreign reserves. Otherwise, they cannot do trading with other countries, right? And whether we like it or not, at the end of the day, I think the Federal Reserve has a very crucial role to play in all our lives. What do you think about this, Ab0ogee?
I do. I mean, that's for sure. But on the hindsight, I mean, it's not the thing. Is I think when you talk to a lot of people, normal level people, especially like these people, whoever's listening in, I'm just going to say something that I'm just going to call it out. We are actually extremely lucky to be in Malaysia, to live in Malaysia. Malaysia. I mean, I've been around the world a bit, and I can tell you, Malaysia is a fantastic country to live. I mean, it's peaceful. It's got wonderful people. The food is ridiculous. And when the exchange rate is at 4 ringgit, 4 ringgit 50 or whatever it is, right? You live in an opportunity in a time where you get to earn US dollars, right? And you should, you should do everything in your power and your time and your imagination to earn USD, regardless of what the Fed does, because you can stretch your ringgit over here in KL by miles and miles, man. So yeah, you should feel very lucky to be in this space. Should feel very lucky to be able to earn US dollars. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we're going to get back to 380 anytime soon. It's hard to imagine that's going to happen. But having said that, we should play to our strengths, right? Like you're in the right space, you're in the right field, you are in the right path, and if you keep going at it, you're going to do really well. Malaysia is a great place to be in to do all this stuff, right?
Yeah. It'll also be extremely good if you can earn US dollars at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like today, you have that opportunity. Like I said, everybody who's listening into spaces is
Yeah.
definitely has an opportunity more than people who are not in this space. You know what I'm saying? I've got I've got
Yes.
friend A who works in banking, 9 to 5, and I've got friend B who left his engineering job to do crypto. Right. The funny thing is the person who the guy who left his engineering job is earning, I think, only just about 2,000 USD, but it's 2,000 USD, man. That's like close to 10,000 ringgit. He's doing really well, and it's because he took a chance, and it's not as if he's doing super well or whatever it is, but he is, he's getting by and he's learning, and you can earn this, a small amount of money, which can go a long way. There's plenty of jobs in this industry. You just gotta figure out which niche that you want to go to.
Yeah, which is why a lot of Malaysians from the traditional finance side, they go to Singapore and work. Because they probably do not know about the existence of crypto, this entire DeFi thing. You can actually hold US dollars or the equivalent stable coin.
But
And
I think that's the reason why I said, anybody who got into
Mm.
this industry, to me, by default, you're going to make it. You're absolutely going to make it, because it's the fastest way to make a lot of good money that changes your life, and you have fun doing it because you get to be in control of it completely. And let's say you do an NFT project. The whole thing is about how you figure out what strategy to do. It's all of you. It's you that's figuring it out, right? Because it's like a business, right? You gotta sit down and you gotta think it, but you get to execute just from a laptop. That's awesome, man. And then you make some amount of USD from it, right? And that's fantastic. Like, which other field is going to give you that kind of ability, right? It's not forex trading or all that garbage, but you get to build real stuff in crypto, and that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that is extremely awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to remind the people in the audience that now at the Q&A session, we are just actually, I would say, creating time or space for people to come up and ask us some questions. Don't be shy, guys. I mean, Ab0ogee is kind of chill, right? You listen from his voice. Oh, we do have a speaker coming up. Just allow me to approve the speaker. Hello, King. King of Asian. Hi. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Hi.
Yep. Yeah. Hi. Thanks for the awesome sharing session. Yeah. So I think I just have a question here, right? Because I think Ab0ogee and Futurist, you guys are kind of touching about like the long term prospects of crypto and NFTs, And yeah, I think Ab0ogee's background is kind of in corporate, right? I think you mentioned Petronas just now. So I am also in a corporate background now, right? So I'm a business consultant in Big Four. So I was just actually wondering, like, what, like, if you can sort of think through, right, like your career, or like, maybe like the past 5 years, like what would be that one skill, or that one that one skill that you have developed over the years, that kind of brought you to where you are today, you know?
Oh, it's that's pretty easy actually. It's I I mean I think I said it like quite a lot of times for the last 2 years, to be honest. It's like everything has to do with people, right? Networking. And people like to use the word networking. I really don't really like it. Just make friends, man. Just make friends. And when you make friends, when you share, when you go deep dive into that, right? Like it's as simple as, okay, if I were to research something on my own and I find alpha, like some good tips, I share it with another friend, and that friend, listens to me and he says like, oh, okay, and you both take that opportunity together. And if it turns out right, that friend eventually feels like, oh, I'm going to find the next opportunity. I'm going to share it with Ab0ogee. And what happens is from that point forward, everybody, it becomes infectious. Everybody wants to help everybody, and you end up being really good friends. You take risks together, and you trust each other. It's a very weird thing for me to tell people that I've done 7 DeFi projects and we've managed like 10 or 12 billion dollars aggregate, at peak for each of the deposits, right? And we've never met each other. We have never met each other. It was, and people were in Dubai, they were in um, Canada, they were in Spain, they were in Jordan, they were in Netherlands, and I was in Malaysia. And I've got people who work for us from Australia, from US, and it's a very hard thing to explain to people, but this industry allows you to do that. So if I were to tell you the one skill that's going to be super useful, it doesn't matter which market it is actually the ability to make friends and just talk, man. Like, it's just share stuff together, laugh about each other, and it's really, really fun. And I tell you something, there was one time, the first project which I got an opportunity for. I remember I texted the guy, and I told him, hey man, like, I need to make ABC amount of money over the next couple of months, like, and I've got ABC amount of capital. What do you suggest that I do? And he was like, you're crazy, man. Like, that's a lot of money, but what do you need that kind of money for, right? And I told him, actually, it's because I want to help my friends and family who I take care of. Because COVID were ravaged a lot of my friends and family members. Some lost their jobs and whatever. And he was very touched by that, I think, because he was a Westerner and I'm an Asian, obviously. And he was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, you want to make money to help people. So, I was like, yeah, that's kind of, I guess that's a very Asian thing to do, I suppose. And then he was like, okay. And I think within 3 weeks, he came up to another opportunity, and he said, hey, Abu, you wanna do this with me? I said, sure. And we did. And we made crazy, crazy amount of money. But even in that process, when we needed manpower to help out with our projects, whether it was community management, whether it was social media, I had all these friends on standby who wanted to work together, and I could trust, because I would take care of the first 12 hours, they would take care of the next 12 hours, and so on and so forth. But so my point is, like, the one skill that you're going to need, it doesn't matter whether you're in NFTs, whether you're in trading, whether you're in research, is your ability to make friends and talk to people.
Awesome, thanks.
All right, thanks so much, King. Say, Ab0ogee, I got a business proposal. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah. Oh God. It's a
Let,
bear
let, let
market.
me,
Yeah, I
let,
could use something.
let me tell you. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna just tell everyone here so that everybody knows the scheme. After that, you guys tell me retweet. Okay. So we're gonna create a website. We're gonna ask people to send Bitcoin to
Okay.
us. Okay.
Okay.
And then we will promise we're gonna send 3x the amount
Okay.
back. Because normally people only promise 2x.
Okay.
Now we're gonna send 3x the amount back. And for deposits Bitcoin below 1 Bitcoin, right, we send them real Bitcoin. We make them deposit 10 to 100 Bitcoin, then only we don't send them back.
I think you've been reading a lot about scams recently. You've been so inspired.
Yeah, drawing a lot of inspiration from scams and networking.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, let's continue with the Q&A. We have Derek over here. Derek, you're up next. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you, Patrice. Hi, Ab0ogee. How are you?
Hi.
Yeah. Yeah. I have two questions here. Question number one, from your observation, which blockchain will survive over this turmoil or over this long bear market for the NFT marketplace, whether it will be the BNB chain NFT or Ethereum or Solana? Which one will stand out at the end of the day? That's question number one. Question number two will be a bit controversial. We've listened to some what you call it, accusation that Pentas marketplace only survive with your support. Okay, do you think or do you believe that we need another whale to come in so that Pentas will be lively again? Thank you.
Also, yeah. Okay. Interesting questions. I enjoy controversial questions, so thank you for that. The first one was the funny thing about life is that you think that in 5 years time that whatever you have right now is what's going to be there, right? Like, but every the thing about crypto or anything about life is that it changes. For all you know, another blockchain is going to come up and that does better, right? But like with what you have right now, then I would say like I think ETH for sure will always stand the test of time because there's a lot of people who keep their capital on ETH. They don't want to move their capital to a different chain. So regardless of what people think of gas prices, ETH will still do well. So that's that's 100% my opinion. That the most dominant chain will always be ETH for NFTs or for anything, even for DeFi. The second one would be I think what's amazing about Solana is despite all the things that's happened recently is how active the NFT community is in Solana. So I think if I were someone who was doing art, I would do it on Solana and Tezos because they have very strong NFT communities over there, and you need communities to drive interest and traction. With BNB chain, it's a little bit different. It's not that simple. BNB is known not for NFTs; it's actually known for trading, like shitcoin trading. So that was what it was really popular for. I know Pentas started off from there. I think they are trying on different chains as well. I think they were on Polygon, are they? Which I thought was also a brilliant thing to do because Pentas itself has to diversify. So I hope that answers your question. I think ETH will be the.
Do you think we need another whale to join you as well?
The second part of that question, the second question that you were asking, when I started buying, I think I spent, I can't remember, was it 500 BNB or something like this? Or was it more than 600 BNB? I can't remember, which is, I can't remember. I think it must have been about R1,000,000 by now. I remember why I did it. I think it was August last year. And I was thinking to myself, Malaysia has all these great artists, so I'm just going to try and support it. And the funny thing was, I started buying. The thing was that I was buying up almost everything. But it was a good thing in some senses because it achieved what I wanted it to achieve, that it was getting a lot of attention from fellow Malaysians. And there was a lot of people that were appearing, and for a while it was doing quite well. And even I admit that I knew that this was going to happen, but you must also understand there's not a lot of whales that would do what I do. A lot of whales don't just buy things and keep. They would buy things and sell them for higher prices. While I was doing it because I really wanted Malaysians to win in this space. I was doing it because, and I still do it actually, because I want Malaysians to know that there's this industry out here. So my point was that I wanted to introduce step one, which was trying to tell you, hey, dude, like look at NFTs. This is something that you can make money from, and you can make USD from it, right? And a lot of people actually learned more about NFTs about that. I even started a fund which was meant for people to mint NFTs on Pentas as well. I was willing to sponsor all that. I even sponsored 1.5 million ringgit over the last 1 year, I think, on doing NFT events in Malaysia. I have zero ROI from it. And the entire intent of it was to tell Malaysians that you can make a living from this. You know, if there's an opportunity here, I hope you come and take a look at it. But this next step and the next step and the next step is not about me anymore, or it's not about any other whale anymore. It's about you finding whether you could find a new market, whether you could try different chains, you know, find new communities. You got to evolve, you got to learn, and all that. You know, and nobody could do that for you, and you're meant to do that yourself. And the harder you try it yourself, you increase your chances of success, right? Because you get into the space, you learn more about communities, you learn about what kind of art does well, or you know which chain does well, you know why does those chain do well. You find out. I like Pluto. I think he does a couple of projects, and he's, you know, he never asks me to buy anything or anything like that, and he will try very hard to try it on different chains. And I thought that was very respectable, because that's exactly what I think you should do, right? If it doesn't work on Pentas, it's not Pentas' fault. It's just that, you know, Pentas is something that we know in our little world. But if you see, I always say this: when you want to sell umbrellas, you don't go to a place where it's all sunshine, right? You try to sell umbrellas in where it's all sunshine, you're not going to sell anything, right? But you go to a place where there's always rain, right? And then you try to sell the umbrellas, it's all going to be completely sold out, right? And I used to watch, it's like selling cookies, right? If you try to sell cookies in a gym, nobody's going to buy it, right? You go and sell cookies in front of a weed shop, you know, after they all smoke up, you know, they're all going to be really hungry, right? So they're going to eat up all your cookies, right? So it's the same concept, right? If you want to have to sell your NFTs or your artwork, it's not about figuring out whether it's Pentas or whether it's, you know, a chain. It's about finding out today where does it work, and then you go build over there. And tomorrow that can change, and you go build over there. You need to be adaptable to it as well, right? So yeah, you don't. It's not about whales. That's not the answer to the to the question that you're asking. The question that you need to be asking is, what can you do about your situation, right? Like that's how you control your destiny. You know, if you think that Solana is gonna, if you look at Solana, you can see so much activity going on. How projects still minting out, right? And people like Pluto figured that out, right? And he's doing it. You know, Roach does a different kind of approach, and I find Roach super admirable. I know he tries this in real life and NFT bridging. You know, that's amazing, right? Like it's a different kind of approach as well. I think Tiger Punks does a different kind of approach where he tries to fuse NFT and education. So my point to this is like, forget about whether it's Pentas or whether it's OpenSea or whether it's Magic Eden. You know, your idea is for you to go and try out everywhere. Put your art here, put your art there, you know, and see and learn and see the ones that you like and you want to take off from there, right? But that is a great place for step 0, step 1, and step 2, you know, and maybe it will grow from there. The more features that they will go in, maybe you could have a whale sweep of stuff, right? You know, but the answer is not whether you need 1 whale or 2 whales or 3 whales. That will never be the answer, right? You need also market conditions to change and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I know a lot of people complain about Pentas, but that's not how it works, right? Pentas does a great job. To be fair to them, they started, and it gives you a really good opportunity to learn. But go where the rain is. Sell umbrellas where the rain is, right? So, yeah.
Derek, does it answer your question?
Exactly. Thanks for your advice, Ab0ogee.
Yeah.
And on behalf of my fellow Pentasian collectors and maybe some artists, we would like to record our appreciation for your support all this while.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, another wave of appreciation will come later also lah, because I have also received quite a few DMs asking us to thank you personally because of all your contributions to the NFT community. But we'll leave that for last before we end the
Yep.
session. But I got another business proposition.
Oh,
Ab0ogee, you want to hear
another
it?
scam.
No, this one is not a scam.
Okay.
Before I move to
Okay.
this one is confirm legit.
Okay.
Okay, just now you mentioned cookies with wheat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we do is
I'm glad you
we're
picked
gonna
that
move
up.
to wait. We're gonna move to the United States. You and me, we're gonna have a first class flight. Okay, no economy. Economy first class flight.
Mhm.
We go there. We're gonna make some cookies. Okay, we don't care whether the cookies is good or bad. Then we just wait outside all those pubs. Anybody smoking weed, we sell them cookies,
Yeah.
and we tell them Malaysian cookies. How about that?
It'll work, man. It'll definitely work.
Yeah, just for jokes. Right now, we move to the next speaker over here. Kay, welcome. Kay, how are you, Kay? Is everything okay?
Hello. Yes, I'm quite busy handling event here and there. Been long time. Haven't speak with you guys. I mean, personally, you, Ab0ogee. This is my first time
Hello.
talking to you. It's, quite nervous. Maafkan kalau nervous sekejap. Tapi nak tambah tadi, part of selling the cookies kan, I think kalau nak jual cookies yang paling rancak, kek lapis lah.
Yeah, I should
Oh,
have
okay.
Malaysianized the
Like, that
example.
shit is good though. And that shit is good. Like kek
That shit is good
lapis
after
and
weed.
exactly. So okay, the questions actually yeah, as people most of the community know, that I'm doing mental health project in NFT space, and it's not much likely like making profit in NFT centric, but we are more focusing on building the community safe space. I mean, I would call myself the first local NFT project and do peer support group through art therapy concept and activities. So in terms of building, like giving the awareness about mass adoptions is still quite high. Tambah-tambah lagi now, bear market, right? So I would like to ask if what do you suggest for project that are building right now? Focus on what kind of like market research in this to improvise the mass adoption punya usage for crypto and NFT. That one is one thing. Another second one, of course, I want to ask how you guys handling your mental health during this bear market. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, mass adoption is not something that, I mean, we feel like we're responsible, that we should do something about it, but you can't force what the market does. But there's still a lot of still a lot of money in the market. I mean, the market cap is still 800 and something billion, right? And there's still people in it. But if you want to talk about bringing in people who are non-crypto into crypto, this time it's a bit harder to do it because all this bad news that comes out every week, FTX comes out, my dad sends me all these articles, so the sentiment is kind of low, but within the industry itself, it will pick up again eventually, whether it's, and crypto actually has a lot of applications. Stable coins actually are used a lot. I use it a lot to send cross-border transactions. That's the reason why I think stablecoin markets are like 142 billion. It's still quite a big number, I guess. NFTs are doing very well. Tiffany's are still doing their stuff. It's just that sometimes prices are like unreachable for a lot of people. That's why people like to do the whole minting thing. Again, I mentioned I was quite amused. Last week there was this project called Kleinosaurus, whatever it is. It's some dinosaur thing, and I found that amusing because people were still working to mint this stuff and flip it and whatever. But the people behind the project were working very hard to go to phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, whatever that looked like. So, yeah, I mean, like if you want to talk about selling things in this market, you got to work, double or triple or quadruple harder, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because you get to learn a lot of stuff, and you get to cultivate the right habits, and then the next bull run comes in, and if you're still around with the new skills that you have, you will make a ton of money if that's your objective life. If you just but stick around for the make a lot of friends, learn a lot of stuff, you can do that. But mass adoption right now, because you use that word tadi, it might be a little bit hard because the sentiment is bad, but I've seen it before. This is the exact same thing that happened in 2018, 2019. Actually, there's always some bad thing that comes out, and your father or your uncle or your auntie or your mom will send you a screenshot of bad news and say, "Oh, look at this, it's a lousy industry or whatever it is." But just ignore all that stuff, because the technology that we've developed today is inevitable. It's definitely going to last for a long time, and it's going to evolve. So yeah. Mental health. What am I doing? God, what am I doing? Okay, well, it's bear market, so I do a lot of.
Cookies with weed, cookies with weed.
I didn't want to say it.
Kek lapis ni.
No, I mean, like, I've been genuinely going out and seeing the world. I've been very happy over the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You see, because I worked with so many people, and when we hustled so hard for 5 years, and I think 2 weeks ago I went and I met my best friends who I've been working with for 5 years that I've never met, and I would say that it was never about the money, and it really was about finding your tribe. And I really hope that if people take away anything from this whole thing tonight, is find your tribe. Find your friends. Forget about the money. It'll come eventually, I promise. But have fun doing everything along the way. If you want to work on projects together.
Go out, touch some grass lah.
Yeah,
Most likely.
yeah. I mean,
Best
meet
practice
your friends. Yeah,
lah.
meet your friends that you work online with. You build that trust, right? And then you have more ideas coming in. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Travel the world, go and take a look at what it looks like out there. Find inspiration. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and also smoke up if you
Good.
need to lah.
I didn't say that. My wife listening, so I'm just gonna.
Hello,
I'm just
police.
gonna. And Kate Lapis, yes.
Cake lapis.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Kate, does that answer your questions? Do you have any more? Anything else?
Definitely answer my question. If you let me ask more question, it's gonna be dangerous because we're gonna turn that kek lapis business into something else. So yes. Okay, bye guys. Thank you. I hope you guys are having. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for this
thank you
sharing.
for the
I think
question.
it's quite insightful and a fresh new perspective how we can see or look about
Correct.
the market right now. And yeah, work me. Bye.
Thank you so much, Kay. Later about the business proposition can discuss through DMs.
Like when you think about the concept of digital scarcity and things that are, they can't be copied, that are easily reproduced.
Hi. Child of mine. Is it sweat child of mine? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You're up next. Hello?
$50. And so, like, when you think about the concept of digital scarcity and things that are, they can't be copied, that are easily reproduced. Well, but they're not the same.
I think he's obviously on some very heavy weed lah, Ab0ogee. Huh?
That's actually a clip from, I think, the Keanu Reeves interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I recognize it.
I see. Okay. Let me just do us a favor and get on with some other questions. Okay? We've received some DMs. I've received some DMs. I think at least 2 or 3 DMs that have questions. Do you still have some time to go over these questions, Ab0ogee?
I could do maybe one more. I should probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just
Pick your favorite one.
pick the best.
Give me a hard one.
Okay.
Let's do a hard one.
Okay, this one is a bit hard,
Okay.
but I can assure you it's not about cookies and weed, okay? Speaking of USDT as a stable coin,
Yeah.
Binance probably holds around 10% of it.
Okay.
Recently, CZ, which is the Binance CEO, has been really strange about sending 2 billion to an unknown wallet, saying that it is for audit purposes and all. The question is, what's your thoughts generally on CZ? Can Binance last or will it be the next FTX? What are the odds of USDT crashing and losing its peg?
Yeah. So it's a good question. I tell you what, I've been in this industry for like 5 or 6 years. I've seen a lot, and I was with my friends. We were in a foreign country about 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, and we were by the beach, and we were laughing. And I think one of my best friends, he was there, and we've been doing this industry for so long. We've seen everything. We largely avoided Luna. We've avoided the crash. We came out on top of most of everything. But in that particular afternoon, I think it was about 2 p.m., and he said something like, "No way FTX is insolvent." Right? He says this: "No way FTX is insolvent." And by 7 p.m., we got the news that FTX had stopped withdrawals already, right? So that was like a 5 hour. So no matter how much experience we've had and all that, arrogance can cost you money. Yeah. So I want to say something like, I believe in CZ. I believe in Binance. I do. I did that when I was in 17, 18. Binance saved my portfolio back then. But I think it's a very arrogant thing to say that nothing can fail, and Binance can be in that position as well. I saw the issue about the 2 billion going back and forth because it was part of proof of reserve and all that, right? But he was his idea in the first place anyway. So I wouldn't say people can panic, and panic is panic. That's all it is. But if you feel unsafe about keeping it in an exchange, then don't stay on the exchange. Just use a small amount. The whole point of decentralized exchanges is for you to do this without having to worry that your funds get stuck. And about USDT, I give you another example of USDT. USDT was, I argue a lot with my friends about USDT. I always say that USDT is safe. Why? Because since 2017, I've been seeing all this FUD about USDT, and USDT survived everything. Everything. The worst possible FUD at USDT saved everything. And then recently they've been reducing the commercial paper. I think they're like 90% 1-1 and so on and so forth. But the biggest thing about crypto that you need to understand is how geographically wide stable coins actually are. People like to talk about BTC, people like to talk about ETH, but the biggest winner of crypto is actually stable coins. Now, I tell you this because not everybody understands how proliferated USDT is in our normal economy. You've got World Cup going on right now, so thereby like illegal betting season is on, right? Chinese or Korean betting websites are making a ton of money, right, on matches, right? A lot of that settlement is actually done in USDT, not USDC, but USDT, right? And not a lot of Westerners understand that. And thereby, it reduces the chances of failure. That was something that UST couldn't do. They couldn't get utility for their stablecoin because USDT and USDC already conquered the market, right? And USDC, because you can get the address blocked, but USDT is, still free running, so on and so forth. So I would say, like, yeah, I believe in Binance. I have some amount of my portfolio on it, but 90% of what I have is on chain, so on decentralized stuff, because I don't want to lose it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, trust no one.
Yeah.
Everybody who's, especially I think CEOs and billionaires, these are the people that we should trust the least, because they are probably just here for your money. A lot of CEOs like Do Kwon, Sam Bankman-Fried, they share a lot of similarities. And at the end of the day, if we end up trusting them too much, we get too cocky with ourselves, and we still have this, I would say, delusional thought that everything is fine, and then fine and dandy, and then here goes UST, here goes FTX, then suddenly boom, Binance. The next day we may not know. Yeah, although everything seems okay right now, but within the next 5 years, it's very difficult to tell.
Yeah, but even the smartest people get hit, right? Like, I've got friends who lost 8 and 9 figures from FTX, so and these guys are smart.
Yeah, I mean, not just friends, right? I think a lot of hedge fund managers, a lot of institutions, they trusted FTX.
Yep.
and it ended up, FTX was just founded by a bunch of MIT kids.
Yeah. But Sequoia said that they did the due diligence. Temasek said they did the due diligence. So you got really smart people who looked at it, and still it turned out that way, right? So yeah.
And I really like the part where you said earlier during the session not to put all of your eggs in one basket, just diversify, spread your risk.
Yep.
And so that if one falls, you'll take a hit, but at least it's not a very big hit.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we've come to the end of our session already. Allow me to really, I received tons of DMs, not questions, by the way, they are just DMs of people thanking you. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And
my pleasure.
yeah, there's too many to narrate their names, and it really just allow me to, on behalf of the crypto community, whether it's from Pentas or any other chain, thank you so much for all your contribution to the community, and I think all of us really appreciate the work that you're currently doing.
No, thank you.
Uh,
I'm not sure what work
yeah,
I'm doing recently, but thank you.
I mean, this to you, I think it's passion, lah. I
Oh
appreciate, we appreciate your,
for the love
yeah,
of the game.
and it, yeah. So before I end this session, I just want to pass the mic over to you one more time, just to allow you to close this session. Do you have any last words for the community? And how many BAYCs do you have?
It's all on chain. You can find it. I think
Oh,
the biggest tip, I tell you, like I said, I've been repeating this for a long time. I think the whole point of why I wanted to do this session was there's going to be a lot of you who think whether this space was worth it or not, and there's going to be a lot of you who think that you should just quit and never look back. And you might get angry at this space. You might get disappointed, and you might get your uncles and fathers and aunties and whatever come and tell you that this don't bother working in this space. But I can tell you, as someone who had it worse before, that this space rewards you like multiple folds compared to your to the effort that you put in. So if you can survive the bear market, and you're so lucky because you get to choose so many things that you get to do now, anywhere between community management, community building, all the way to trading or research and analysis or copywriting. There's so many skill sets that you get to do now. So if you don't mind trying, you should try this stuff and survive the bear market. And then when the bull market comes, you're just gonna make so much money, and you're gonna be so happy that you stayed, because it's not really about the money. It's always about that's what the thing they say, right? Like, if you want to go fast, you go alone. And if you want to go far, you go together, right? So you find your tribe and you go together, so that way you don't feel as if the market's so bad, right? So find a way to pay the bills, but meantime stay in the space, because I guarantee you that it will reward you over a long run.
Yeah, that is definitely guaranteed, because this space today itself is already, I'm sure, rewarding to a lot of listeners out there, a lot of artists who probably were on the verge of giving up. I think you may have been one of the catalysts to prevent them from, really throwing in a towel and giving up. But to really just add on to what you said and close up the session, just my personal tips to prepare for a recession, because a recession is forecasted next year. And Ab0ogee, we can talk about that in our next session. First of all, I think cash is king. You have liquidity, and also make sure right now not losing money is making money. Keep your 9 to 5 job if you have one. Now's the worst time to say that my employer is exploiting me. I'm going to leave my job. I'm going to find a different job. At least you have a job, okay? Earn additional income. Take the risk. Go and start like a YouTube channel, do a podcast or anything, as your side passion. Work extra hard if you can. If you have a DCA plan, go on with it, but remember to do your portfolio rebalancing. Yeah, make sure you have a portfolio pie chart of your assets, and then DCA accordingly to your risk preference. And lastly is to make sure you save up at least 6 months to 1 year of rainy day funds, so that let's say you're laid off from your job, unfortunately you'll still be able to survive, and meanwhile work on something you're more, I would say, interested in. You have anything more to add, Ab0ogee, to this?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you so much again for agreeing to join the session.
Thank you so much for having me, actually.
Your first appearance.
Yeah. It was great. Thank you so much.
When next round?
When next we will discuss it with our business proposition.
More cookies. Over cookies.
More cookies. Okay. More cookies.
Great.
Okay, guys. Good night.